So hello and welcome to the channel, and welcome to another Project Cars 2 video. In today's video, if you've ever struggled to figure out where to start with the AI and how to set the difficulty, I'm going to be running through a lot of tips on where to set the benchmark and where you should be starting to adjust all the settings to get yourself racing as hard as you can and get good competition within the AI itself, so that you're not having an absolute nightmare trying to beat the AI. And again, it's not as easy as you should probably try and make it. So let's get into the video and find out where we need to be starting. So before we get into the crux of this video, I wanted to give you a little bit of a demonstration on how the AI actually works in this game. And it's something I only discovered when I did the driver swap. Now, I've been out in the car, I've done a little bit of a warm-up, and I just want you to picture down at the bottom right hand side of the screen where the horsepower and the torque is for the engine. You can see here accelerating, and when I'm at my absolute maximum, I'm hitting about 567 horsepower with 464 newton meters of torque. Now that's me driving the car personally, so when we come into the garage and I swap over now so that the AI is going to be driving the car, just notice the difference. Now this is set at 70% hardness. Now the driver's power's at 564, so we've got a slight drop in the amount of horsepower and a slight drop in the amount of torque coming from the engine. Now this is the game actually limiting the car and the potential of the car in order to lower the AI's potential. So the AI managed to set a 142 there during that session, driving 141.7. Driving with a 70% AI. So now that if I increase the AI up to its maximum, we go back in, and this is me driving the car. The car's now at its normal 567 horsepower, and you can see I'm still getting the 464 newton meters of torque. So we're going to go back into the pits and swap over to the AI driver, and just notice how much more power the AI driver gets given, even though all the characteristics of the car seem totally unordinary to me. It doesn't slide around anywhere near as much, but he's got that little bit extra horsepower and he's getting a little bit more torque from the engine. And this is how the AI is it's how it's programmed really to make it harder. You can't really literally make the car any faster, but you can literally make the car faster, and he's able to set a 133.5, which is absolutely miles away from the sort of lap time I'm able to set in exactly the same car. So with that sorted out, let's get on to doing the video and understanding where to set your AI. So if you're totally new to Project Cars 2, you're going to want to go into custom race settings. In here you can make a few adjustments to number of laps, duration, etc., time of year, and all the other parameters that will come into creating a race itself, what sort of weather simulation you're wanting to have throughout the race, etc., and also how you're going to fill your qualifying session or practice session. And for this session, I'm going to be using medium weather. All the sessions are going to be held at 12 o'clock during the day, and only for this first session I actually ran a practice session and a qualifying session, but for all future sessions I just decided to limit it down to just qualifying and the race itself. So once you've added all the settings you're wanting to add, it's into the opponent settings, and this is where we're going to be spending most of our time adjusting these settings. I'm going to start all the way down at number 10 for the opponent's skill level, and I'll also reduce the aggression all the way down to 10 as well, and then we'll run a session, see how it all pans out. We're going to be using the same class for this one, but for the rest of them I'll be using the identical car, as I thought it was a better comparison. So let's move along. So you join me just starting a lap, having warmed my tyres, and I'm going to set a fast lap. It's a qualifying session, so here we are trying to set a fast lap. As you can see, I'm approaching other cars with considerable speed, and it almost feels like one of those games back in the Gran Turismo days where you had to pass so many cars to win a medal. It is super easy catching these cars, and it's almost a struggle to try and set a qualifying lap with so many cars in the way. So that's just how easy it is during this session, or as easy as I'm finding it in order to be able to set a lap, considering the sort of lap times I'll be setting. So after finishing the practice session, you can see even the closest rivals about 13 seconds away, and I didn't even manage to fit a good lap in. There was just so much traffic. I'm usually wanting to see around a 1:35 lap, so 13 seconds off my 1:42. It's going to be easy pickings. And as you can see, after the qualifying session, setting a much better lap, you can see that the competition from the AI is literally non-existent, with being 27 seconds a lap slower. As the race progresses, I'm just into my 4th lap here, and I'm starting to lap the entire field. And like I said before, it's just like playing one of those games where you're trying to pass as many cars as you can during one lap. And I think I actually managed to pass every single car, all 30 cars, before the end of the lap finishes, with just a 5-lap race. So yeah, absolutely no competition whatsoever, and a total novice could probably easily win with the settings as they are. So let's move on to moving up the AI's difficulty. I'll try and go through these fairly rapidly because the video is going to be such a long video if I go through each of these. So I'm just going to jump up about 20 each time, so going from 10 to 30, 50, 70, 90 and so on as we go through them, just to show you what sort of difficulty I'm sort of incurring with each increment change to the difficulty. Now, as you can see from the replay, cars are actually starting to sort of have a go at racing each other now. The one before, where it was on 10, they just seem to be driving around in a very slow procession, no one particularly trying to overtake at any stage, and they're all just happy to sit behind each other. But there is actually starting to feel like the AI is starting to get competitive between themselves, so you're starting to come across other cars racing each other. So moving on to the 50-50 option, and I'm hoping to see a little bit of a difference between how the AI is performing here. And I'm just in the middle of the qualifying session and just loaded into the pit monitor. And as you can see, I'm just watching, I've selected the map, I'm watching all the cars going round, and I'm just trying to go out to do a second stint. So I'm trying to find a nice little gap to pull out, and this is a really useful tool for when you're setting laps and you're trying to find a little gap in the traffic. So you can see the last car just coming round the hairpin bend at the end of his lap. And now I'm going to start to pull out the pits, because I know there's a nice big gap. As you can see, I'm just looking at the map on the left. Nice big gap to pull into, so I can get a nice clean run throughout my qualifying session. Just a little tip there, just to bear in mind. So as you can see, after qualifying's been complete, the AI is still 7 seconds away per lap, which is nowhere near competitive. If you're going to start to race in online lobbies, you're really going to want to be pushing yourself as fast as you can against other cars doing very similar lap times. So after we've increased the difficulty to 70, I just thought I'd allow you to join me on a lap here around the circuit, just showing you the sort of lap times I'm looking for. So going into turn 1, we're sort of trying to want to stay in 3rd gear and just trying to keep that turbo spooling, trying to keep the revs up as we come round up into 4th gear and carrying all that speed down, a little lift as we come through that section there, just to steady the car on the brakes, into 3rd gear and taking a nice tight apex to allow the car to run a little bit wide, and then up into 4th gear as we're accelerating around this section. Now we're absolutely ruining the tyres, pushing the car so much through this lap, but dropping down into 3rd gear, just trying to get that turbo spooling up again and try and keep the revs in. Do a little dab of the brake as we come up and over the rise, not clipping too much of that curb on the right hand side. And this is a section where you're really struggling to get the power down and get it in a straight line to come out of that corner. Absolutely ruined the rear left tyre through that section lap after lap. Braking just at the first board, down into 3rd gear again, again, just trying to get on the power as we're coming out of that corner, and as we just go over the rise of the hill here, just at the board, we're going to start braking down into second gear. And this is a terrible corner for me to actually get right from lap after lap, just to try and get the acceleration down out of that corner. There's so much power through the turbo, just trying to get an accumulation of power without the wheels spinning so much. It really is quite hard. But across the line to set a personal best time of 1:35.3. So with qualifying complete, you can see I'm still lapping 6 seconds faster than any of the other cars, and with a perfect start off the line, I don't actually see any competition from the rest of the field for the entire race. Now, getting a good start is definitely a tough one in this car. With all the wheel spin, it does seem to bog down quite a lot. But anyway, I'd sort of try and rev the engine at around 8,000 RPM and keep an eye on that accelerator. But looking at the rest of the field, these two had a really nice little battle between themselves, a little inter-team battle. But you can see the AI is definitely getting far more competitive now. They do start to battle a lot harder on 70, and with the aggression at around 70 as well. They're definitely trying to protect the line through the corners, and even through the tight hairpin down at the bottom here, they're still trying to battle this one out. And it is quite good to watch if you're a novice driver. You can sort of start to understand some of the ways to start battling into corners, just watching some of the AIs and how they perform, especially in the replays. Anyway, let's move along. The race finishes, and I'm still 20 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, so nowhere near competitive. So we're now moving into the 90s, and with qualifying complete, setting a 1:35.7 myself, just a few tenths slower, you can see that the AI now starting to hit the 1:39s. So we're starting to get somewhere now, getting a little bit more competitive, just a few seconds away from a good lap. So moving to the start of the race, this is how not to start a race. You can see I'm hovering around the accelerator, and as I change into the gear, just totally bogs down on the accelerator, and I just lose so many places off the line. Not a good way to start the race at all. Puts me in the middle of the pack, and I've already got a battle on, starting really in third place coming out of turn 1. So that was just a key point there. I'll show you a better start later in the video, but again, not really a battle put up by the AI in this sort of exchange. And you can see quite clearly that they're still sort of sluggish on the acceleration out of corners, even at 90. So there's still a little ways to go. He's not sort of blocking the line into the corner. Still a little bit of a battle, but I think this is all done and dusted in lap 1. You can see I'm just going up the inside there. He's still putting a little battle up on the outside, but still forcing me to take a tight line, which is hard to get on the power. He gets the better line running around the outside of that turn. But as soon as that's done, that was the only battle I had throughout the entire race, and I go on to win the race. So with the AI now bumped up to 110, so we're in between the Ace and Pro settings, and the aggression all the way up to 100. I've just managed to set myself a lap and thought I needed to go out and do another one, but just ended up running wide, so pull back into the pits. Now, to my surprise, they're already into the 134s, which is something I haven't even managed to get into myself, so I'm certainly going to be up against them this time. An amazing lap to be in the 134s. And I even feel forced at this stage to go into my setup and start adjusting a few things. Now, I do think running 100% boost doesn't particularly make you any faster, but looking at the sector times, it all seems to be that final sector that I'm really struggling with. Just trying to get the power down out of the last hairpin is where this car really is a handful. But having made a few adjustments, I decided to run another session and go back out, having made my changes, and I'm still no faster, and the AI has got even faster into the 133.9s. So I start having a little look over the sector times and where I'm slowest, and sector 1 seems okay, but I'm losing about 6 tenths in sector 2 and also in sector 3. So I really need to start looking at my lap, and this is where you need to start learning a little bit from the AI and maybe where you can get faster, where you're losing time. So with the race getting underway and starting all the way down in 26, you can see I get a much better start of the acceleration, and the accelerator doesn't bog down, but I've certainly got my work cut out starting in 26th place. So yeah, let's see how this progresses. So with the lap progressing, you can see I'm gradually starting to move through the field up to 19th place, and this is where, as a human, I think we get the edge over the AI, and as much as they're all programmed to run a certain way, we start to take a few little corner cuts here and there where we can, and there's a little bit of argy-bargy going on, but no one's going to get too disgruntled because obviously they're just AI drivers. But we've managed to make our way up to 13th place with a little bit of a cut there, which the adjudicators felt was a little unfair, so I have to give the place back in order to continue, or else I'm going to end up with a bit of a penalty. So this is really where the race is starting for me now. The AI is starting to pull out a little bit, and as soon as they start to stretch the legs, they can hold a very good pace and do battle very hard for position. As you can see, we can still be very opportunistic with where we're positioning the car, but still trying to get off the acceleration part of that corner is where I really do struggle. It's a case of sort of trying to feather in the accelerator, and as that turbo comes in, you're sort of trying to come off the power to try and maintain a good level of traction rather than getting the car to bounce on the rev limiter. So after running another full lap behind this car, or almost another full lap, I start to get a little bit closer to him and think about going down the inside, but he sort of cuts me off there, and I try and put a cheeky one round the outside of him. It is a much better line round the outside of that corner, you're just able to carry a little bit more speed, but it's still a nice battle with this car. He didn't really want to give up the place, and it's a good bit of driving from the AI as well. Definitely a good level for aggression, I think. The sort of aggression that you're going to get from other drivers online. So as much as they do try and barge you out of the way, I don't think it's any more so than you're going to get from other online races. So it certainly gives you a bit of an opening into the real world as to how aggressive people do drive in lobbies. And you can see there, having taken the place, I just run a little bit wide at turn 1, and he's straight back trying to get that position and manages to take it back off me. So I've got a nice little battle going here with the car in front. So just knowing that the AI tends to position the car right on the left hand side for this one, I just try a cheeky one and slam it up the inside again and manage to take the position back. So onwards and upwards. And as I mentioned, you can see the left tyre there taking a real punishing. Usually I just try and preserve the life of the tyres a little bit, try and do a little bit of tyre management and get the rear tyres to cool down, but there just doesn't seem to be that option racing them at 110. They're just absolutely on it the entire race really. There's no chance of letting up on easing the tyres at all. It really is, as fast as you can go for the whole 5 laps. So you can see with the rear tyres starting to hot up, I really am starting to lose a lot of traction from the rear end, make a tiny bit of a mistake, which costs him the position with the other driver overtaking him on the outside. But I'm really starting to think that I need to cool these rear tyres in order to get some grip. I'm losing a lot of performance on the exit of the corners, just trying to get the power down. So it really is a bit of a battle over trying to preserve my tyres a little bit more at the moment. So with no real opportunities to cool the tyres, they're getting ever hotter at the rear, and just on the corner entry to the hairpin, just make a terrible error really running wide and have to drop the car all the way down into first gear, which allows the ensuing car to take up that position, but definitely feeling a lot of pressure from the cars behind. Another thing that really does make a good driver is handling that pressure as well from other cars behind you. You can see I'm already getting pressure from another car attacking from the rear, but it certainly is one of those things. Some drivers do get a little bit ahead, and as soon as they start to see another car in the rear view mirror, they really do start to crack up. So it really is an experience to make use of, really. Start to feel that pressure, start to understand how it is to drive with the pressure from another car very close behind. That's how racing should feel. You should feel pressured, but you should be able to focus on how you're driving, make your focus on overtaking the car in front as much as you need to prepare to cover your line from the cars behind. So the race finally finishes and I end up in 12th position, but just looking over the AI and their lap times during the race, they're all quite comparative to my own sort of lap times, really. Managing to set a 36 myself, under quite a lot of pressure, I would say, but definitely nothing out of the extraordinary. No silly sort of 34, 33 laps. So as far as the AI go during the race, I'd be quite happy with racing these to try and better my own skills, but setting a qualifying position that was just way out of where I should be, really. Just far faster in qualifying than they were in the race. So just maybe tone it down a tiny bit just to try and see where the AI position themselves with a little bit of a lower difficulty. And as you can see then, after qualifying, getting a little bit more competitive now, with just 5 tenths away, having still set a very good lap myself to get myself into qualifying position. I was quite happy to get the race underway with the current AI settings, managing to get a much nicer start off the line and just feathering in that accelerator a little bit better, but I still managed to lose a few positions, dropping myself down into 3rd position. But it's soon done and dusted through turn 1 and the race gets underway, leading the pack down into the rest of the circuit. And just you can see the animation on my cars far more pronounced than any of the AIs, which I covered at the start of the video. But yeah, getting into the car again and getting a little bit further into the race, I just make a tiny mistake and just allow another car to get up alongside. Obviously not blocking him in any way, because I'm trying to do this as fair as I can, but managed to take that position away again into the hairpin, just positioning the car a little bit on the inside. Moving a little bit further up into the race, 3 laps into the race, and the tyres are getting a little bit hot at the rear. Just make a tiny mistake going into turn 1, which allows another one of the AI just to position his car up the inside and take full advantage of my poor exit onto the corner. But getting into a nice little battle with this other AI driver as we're coming down into the rest of the lap. And I had decided to reduce the track limits penalty just because it seemed to be ruining every race I was having, taking a few tiny excursions over some of the curbs, just the sort of things that aren't going to pick up a penalty, but not running wide to such an extent where I'm really exploiting the circuit beyond its track limits. But yeah, just coming up with another little battle here. The AI is definitely wanting to push me here, and it just feels nice to have a little bit of competitive competition, really. Nothing extraordinary, they're not really pushing me out of the way, any more so than you would get from any fair racing, I think, in an online lobby. And you can see they're just so much more competitive. It was a really good race to take part in, and the AI were very consistently trying to push me right up until the last corner, where I again make a tiny little error and it just sort of taps me in the right direction, slows the rest of the pack down, and it is literally a race to the finish line, finishing just 2 tenths in front of the rest of the pack, really. It was a really good race and a really competitive AI. I'd probably think about stepping it up maybe to 107, 108 just to see how they perform. But yeah, quite competitive with how they are. But let's see about adding some weather to the mix. So after making some of the appropriate changes, especially to the weather conditions, and just double checking the AI's opponent level, skill level, we go back into the race and have a go at setting a qualifying lap. Obviously, running in the wet weather is certainly going to be a shock to the system, and setting a lap time of 1:41.2, I was pretty happy with how that went. Watching the AI perform for the rest of the session, just seeing how they went on and how they got around managing the lap, I thought a second difference was pretty competitive, to be honest. Obviously, you spend a lot of time racing in the dry weather, so starting racing in wet weather conditions is certainly a shock to the system. Having to brake that tiny bit earlier and just understand that the cars are going to slide around quite a bit. Now, like I mentioned before, you don't get to see this animation from the other drivers, and it's exactly the same in online races. If you've ever watched back the race replays, the other cars look so planted in comparison to how your car performs. Now, the car does slide around quite a lot, and I ended up with some pretty good battles with the AI throughout this whole video, really. Certainly giving me a lot of pressure to think about from behind, definitely coming down into the middle section of the circuit. Again, you can see here coming through this section, they really are starting to mount a lot of pressure from the rear, and I'm certainly starting to feel that. The tyres are getting hot as well, so I'm sort of trying to manage the tyre temperatures as well as trying to maintain a good lap. But I feel like I'm doing not too bad. I have a few little scary moments, especially coming to this section here. The car got very sideways. I really did think I was going to come off the circuit, but managed to keep it held and carry on the rest of the lap. But it's not long before I start to feel a bit more pressure racing in the wet weather and make that tiny mistake coming into the hairpin. Puts the car a little bit too much sideways and end up running out onto the grass, which I think ends up putting me down into third place. Obviously, I'm not trying to block the cars, blocking their line. I actually managed to slip down into fourth position. So I've got a nice little battle on my hands, something that would be very much the norm in a lobby, and in a real race you can't have it all your own way. So as we just start coming round into the next portion of the lap, and my teammate, so to speak, starts making a little bit of a move towards coming down into this section that I'm struggling with under so much power coming down here. And I think this is more of an avoiding manoeuvre. My car sort of twitches across and he sort of comes to try and get out of the way, but just taps me on the rear and manages to take that position along with another driver. But yeah, really good battles throughout the field, I thought. Still very competitive. You've got to take the rough with the smooth here. So still just coming back through the pack, managed to take a little bit of a dive down the inside, get one of those positions back before we're sort of heading for the rest of the lap, and just finishing out in what I think was 5th place or 6th place. We'll soon see when we take a look at the leaderboard as we cross the line. So yeah, just finishing in 5th place. I'm more than happy with how the cars perform and how the AI performs in the wet. Certainly no real advantages or disadvantages from either of them. So yeah, quite happy with how the AI is positioned, and this is how I'd go about trying to set a competitive AI. So thanks for watching as always. Remember to hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up button. Please do leave a comment as always. And if you're interested in how this car's set up, this will be featured in another video coming up soon. So for now, ciao for now guys.